Hello, hello, hello. This is the second interview of the day. Oh my God. What a day has it been? It's been crazy. So obviously I've been up early, literally only just finished work, and seriously, this is what living a life of arranged woman looks like, being able to really tap into the flow of things and having a supportive network of women who also understand. And our guest today, Davina Borrow-Jones, certainly is one of those women in my network that has really helped me a lot over the past 2 years. She's been my support network and also my support for my business. And she's also very understanding of what a entrepreneur's life looks like when you have to flow in between quite a few things. So without further ado, let's introduce Davina. Hello, hello, hello. How are you, Davina?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being so flexible, because we sort of were texting while I was in the meeting. I was like, oh my God, definitely going to run late. And Davina has very kindly offered to reschedule on the same day. So I'm very, very grateful. Now, as you're heading down the bottom, describes your mompreneur lawyer. I guess my very first question is really, I wanted to understand what was that pivotal moment make you think, okay, I am going to quit my corporate job, starting my own company. And was it always intuitive that you're going to help mompreneur, or was it just like, I'm just going to be on my own and figure it out on the go?
Like, it was definitely a gradual journey. I don't think it was an overnight thing. And I think sometimes, when people say that, someone, happened, or their success happened overnight, it's you have a look at the 15 years before, and you usually, like, oh, there were some things that went on before that. So really, no, it's been quite a gradual journey. But the real reason I started serving mums and mumpreneurs in particular was, I guess the first inkling was a client that I had years ago that kept, she was a mum of 4. I think she's on 5 now. But she would always come to me when something went wrong with her business. So when she had an issue with an employee or the landlord, or there was some sort of dispute, then she'd come and see me. And every time I'd sort of say, we can get there, we can resolve this, but we really need to get some good documents in place. That we need to be proactive about your legals and get things in place so that these things don't happen. So that we've sort of, predicted the types of things that can happen, and been proactive in getting things in place. But yeah, I mean, time is such an issue for mums. So, and it was for her. So yeah, it was tricky for her.
It's almost like when we talk about going to the dentist, being preventative rather than reactive when things happen, because when things happen, it's a lot harder to fix, and you're going to spend a lot more money in fixing things as well.
Yeah Cavities and yeah, if you need a filling, it's really expensive, but you clean teeth.
So
no,
did you
definitely
always know that,
similar.
Did you always know that you're going to be a lawyer?
I think I probably did from when I was about 15. I did my work experience with a barrister. That was a little while ago. But yeah, and I really liked the experience, but I also was a bit overwhelmed at the time. I mean, as a 15-year-old, I was sort of going into court, and he was a criminal barrister. So it felt very confronting, when he was defending a man in particular that had headbutted another man outside the pub. So I was like, oh my gosh, can I really do this? I was quite idealistic about life, and I just wasn't sure whether I could really practically be a lawyer. But then I realized, of course, the law is huge, and there are many different areas that you can practice in, and criminal is just one. So yeah, so I did. I had many other interests, but law was always there. Yeah.
And so I guess when you say you have many other interests, when it comes to university and picking a degree, was it a clear choice? I guess I love asking that question because for me, it was between singing and architecture. And it was literally, I had a lazy gene. I always say I have a lazy gene, where the way that I saw it was there's so much practice involved in vocal. And literally I would be singing for the rest of my life. And it's also a very short-lived career. So I literally at the age of 18 went into analysis paralysis, and I was like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do music. I'm not gonna do singing. It's just too, I guess, also subjective as well. So that was when I made the decision. So I wonder, when you have multiple passions or you have multiple things that you were sort of looking at, was law a clear career choice or pathway for you?
It really wasn't. It wasn't at all. I grew up in a very musical family, and mum and dad, sort of encouraged that. They were both teachers. So mum was a music teacher and dad was a sports teacher, and they weren't really interested in the law. They weren't, thinking, oh, you've got great marks, go and study law at all. If anything, they were thinking, is there something else you'd rather do? And in fact, I didn't study law at first. I went and studied arts and music at the University of Sydney, and did some flute performance. So there you go. I really did start off in a musical sort of career. I didn't do singing. I did flute. But yeah, after a couple of years, whilst I enjoyed it, I had a little bit of worry and anxiety. I think there was a lot of pressure to get a job and get a career, and I didn't feel like my path was very well defined, and I'd always been interested in law, so I sort of sidestepped that way. I actually went in by becoming a secretary, and once I started working as a secretary in a law firm, I was like, yes, I could definitely do this. I really enjoy it, and I'm going back to study. So that was that.
Wow.
At the time, I kind of thought it was a bit of time wasted studying, other things. But with the benefit of much hindsight, some of the subjects I studied would, like philosophy, were just brilliant, and they've actually, proved really useful down the track.
How interesting is that? So you weren't like law, and you weren't just like love and first sight clicked, and that is so interesting. So do you still play the flute?
Not very often. Occasionally for my son, because he just loves music right now, and so we'll do little kind of random duets that tend to be Paw Patrol, because he's 3. He loves the music to Paw Patrol, and Wiggles, of course, and Bluey, is another classic that they love. And we play piano together. Piano is really where it's at now. I tend to jump on that every now and again, but unless you're really playing with an orchestra, playing the flute on your own is not that much fun. Yeah.
So what makes you then
sing? Do you sing now?
I sing every now and then, like in the shower kind of thing, or when I feel like it, but I don't sing operatically anymore. It's just like, it's a muscle that you really need to practice. And I think flute's the same, because I usually play the flute as well. The fingers is fine, but it's like when you control your breathing and all that, it really takes a lot of practice. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go down that route.
Oh, it's an art form, and
it takes a lot of practice.
I couldn't play the flute for 6 hours a day. That's for sure. Mm.
So
Yeah.
you went from being a music student to a secretary in a law firm and finally studying law. And then did you immediately start your own business, or did you practice at a firm first? And then what made you sort of make that transition?
Yeah, so I started out in litigation, but then really once I was close to graduation, I became really interested in IP, or intellectual property, and e-commerce, and outsourcing. So these were kind of really new areas. This was around 2005. And I managed to get a job in a firm in London, which was actually a US law firm. And they were doing massive outsourcing agreements at the time. And yeah, it was great. It was really a lot of fun, and we had an amazing team. And it was like diving headfirst into the corporate world and getting to know big corporations from London that were outsourcing their work mostly to India at the time. Yeah, so that was a bit of fun. But then I came back to Australia and continued to work sort of the commercial type firms, and then transitioned to working for small businesses, because I just felt often with corporates there was unfortunately perhaps less skin in the game. You know, when I was working with small business, they really cared about what happened. So so yeah, I really liked that client facing time with small business owners that were really passionate about what they were doing, and hence the sort of foray into small business and startups. So it sort of went like that. And when I had my baby, of course, that sort of opened up the door to the possibilities that were out there. And I think having a child just makes you value your time so much more than you may have done previously. You realize that, well, at least for me, it was like I desperately wanted to spend really quality time with my son, and I didn't want to spend it for being a bum on a seat from 9 to 5. And that made me question a lot of things about the value of time. And you probably know that in law firms, you spend a lot of your time billing in 6-minute increments. and I didn't like that. I didn't want to go back to that sort of environment. Yeah. So it's been quite a journey, but I've learnt a lot.
So because I'm asking this because obviously I work in construction, and I think law is quite a male dominating industry as well, at least historically. Anyway, has anyone ever, I'm only asking this because someone actually literally said it to me in front of all my colleagues. Has anyone ever said to you, once you have a child, your career is over?
Absolutely. I think it's, maybe not directly said that often anymore, but certainly years ago, that was sort of a given, and definitely even unsaid in many respects today. There's definitely an unconscious bias that sort of traverses the whole industry. Pregnancy either spells the end of your career, or at least a very changed career, as in less and perhaps more stagnant promotion. I think we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. I mean, men become parents too, and it's up to a couple to decide the child and domestic responsibilities. So, there really should be no disadvantage to women in the workplace, and particularly after this year, when everyone sees how women really can integrate being a parent, being a mum with work. I mean,
Yeah.
we do it. and many women do it incredibly successfully, way more successfully than I do. And it should be no reason to stop a woman in her career tracks or her career path at all. If anything, I think it's a benefit because, you know, when you do become a parent, particularly, you know, the sort of traits that you look for in leadership or being an entrepreneur, you know, like creativity or you know, determination and discipline. You know, they're things that you put in place and you really learn quite rapidly the moment you become a parent. You have to think of creative solutions. You have to suddenly become really disciplined around certain things, particularly when you have a toddler. And these are real traits that are so beneficial in the workplace today. So, you know, I think parents should be celebrated.
Yeah, that is so true.
And not just women, but men too.
Parents, yeah. There's actually a lot more sort of stay-at-home dads these days, and really, I think we don't celebrate stay-at-home dads well enough in so many instances.
No.
And I guess this brings me to my next topic.
No,
which
again,
is,
I think there's an unconscious bias. Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's almost like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
let's celebrate mom staying at home, but what about dad staying at home?
Yeah, it's so important that we honor the decisions that are made by couples in a personal and domestic sense. Because, yeah, I mean, the more that's celebrated as much as stay-at-home mums are, then you know the closer we get to gender equality.
I think so. Yeah, I do believe so. So, what is it like to be a mompreneur?
It's really funny actually because when I started my business, I wasn't thinking that I was a mompreneur. I just wanted to be the lawyer for mompreneurs. I just loved working with women who were starting up businesses and mums in particular because I just become a mum. So really, I just loved the energy, the stories I was hearing, the innovative ideas about new products and services, and yeah, and just other motherhood stories as well. So when I started up, it was really to be the level mompreneurs. But then I guess as I've taken my own journey, I think I've become somewhat of an entrepreneur myself in that, you know, when you're running a business, you really have to be innovative, you have to be creative, you have to be disciplined and determined, you have to, you know, be the things that an entrepreneur is.
And I really think that's your point of difference, because I remember our very first phone call. I'm like, I'm actually talking to a lawyer that really, really cares about my business and my life and my ideas. And, you know, you're very creative in your approach as well. And one of the example that really made me stick, and the reason that everyone was like, I'm looking for, maybe it's a trademark lawyer, maybe it's a business lawyer that helped me start my business, I would always recommend Davina. And this is the reason why I would do it. The first thing was, she said to me, there's a set fee. I'm like, wait, you've actually got a set fee? So you're telling me that I don't have to worry about like the clock is ticking when I'm talking to you? And are you saying that this first conversation is actually included in yours? She's like, yep. And everything comes, it's literally just like a normal text invoice. There's a set fee in there. I know exactly how much I need to pay. And that was just like, it literally takes the pressure out of me, because I was publishing my book back then. There's a lot of expenses. I was running my launch. And to have a lawyer say to me, you don't have to worry about this, the fee that I send you, that's it. It's just like, oh my God, that's a breath of fresh air. And I guess my question to you is, how did you even come up with this idea, and how do you think that has helped you to stand out in this really saturated world of, there's a lot of lawyers, really, how does it help you stand out as a business?
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we offer fixed costs. But I think when I started up, that was one of the major gripes I had with, paying for things myself. I was like, well, oh my gosh, if someone just said, oh, I'll take care of that, and then suddenly, the next month I'd see an invoice, and then the next month I'd see another invoice, and I didn't know how to budget if I didn't know the cost. So that was a big thing for me. I had to offer fixed costs and have ever since. And I make sure it's really transparent and it's really upfront. I think that's so important when you're running a business, or and in particular when you're starting up. But it may have been a little bit innovative at the time, but it's not anymore. I think there's lots and lots of lawyers that offer fixed costs now, and I think they're increasing. I think maybe I was reading some stats the other day. It's about 60-40. So, still most people do bill by the hour, but there are more and more law firms offering fixed costs, which is fabulous, because that's really, I mean, I think the real focus should be on providing quality work, not on how many hours you should be billing a client.
But
Very
also
important.
love that I can pick up the phone, call my lawyer, and feel like I'm talking to a friend rather than talking to, I don't know, almost like the school principal or some sort.
Yeah,
so
I'm
I guess
not very scary. I've worked on that
not
because I have a 3-year-old. And I need to be scary every now and again.
All right. When you're a mum, you're scary.
And I did study litigation, so yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So to Davina's kids, be careful. Mum's scary. Okay, Mum's a lawyer. You have to listen to her.
Mum can be scary.
Mine can be scary.
Mum can be serious.
Mum can be
set rules that need to be followed.
So how do you? You've recently co-published a book. Oh, hold on. Actually, no, tell me about a letter to Santa.
All right. So we're about to send a letter to Santa, and I made sure the first couple of lines that we were doing something, like we set some house rules. They are: he's agreed to eat his vegetables and to pick up all his toys. And if that happens, then he'd really love it if Santa brought him all the Paw Patrol toys in the world. Don't know how achieve that one, but yeah.
Maybe it's one toy per veggie.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
One toy per veggie.
Definitely a load of fun, and the load of my
So you have recently, yes. How? Well, I guess, what was it like, and how do you actually flow in between being a mum, having a business, while writing a book?
Well, it wasn't too much of a book because there's 27 other authors. So, but then I'm doing the imposter syndrome right now, and no, it's been an amazing experience. It was quite hard actually to write that chapter, because I wanted it to be a personal story, like my personal journey, and it meant that I had to sort of dig deep, and it's not always that fun. So I felt quite drained after writing it, to be honest. But I think it also needed to be said. So because there's lessons to be learned. There's lessons to be learned through some of the experiences that I've had that I think could absolutely benefit other women, not just women startups, but perhaps women who are working in corporate law firms right now. That would be amazing if they felt somewhat inspired and reassured, depending on their own personal journeys. But I'm sure some of it will definitely resonate with them. Yeah.
What's the name of the book again?
I haven't given much away, have I?
No, we have to buy the book in order to find out, right? So what's the book called, and where can we find it?
So it's called Back Yourself, and you can jump on my website and buy a copy. You can actually buy a copy this week and get free ticket to the Back Yourself online festival, which is amazeballs. So the festival happens next week from the 1st to the 4th of December, and I'd love it if you joined us. That would be just so much
I would
fun.
love to. I would love to. Yeah. So what's your website?
Yeah. So my website is mumlawyer.com.au. So very easy there.
Lawyer.com.au.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, for those of you who's like, I might have goldfish memory just like Lala, I've typed it out, popped it on the screen just for you guys, so we can all remember. There we go. Lawyer with an no S, singular. Is that right? mumlawyer.com.au.
Perfect.
Yep. Perfect. Yay! I guess without giving the content of your chapter away, what would be your advice for, I guess, anyone who wants to step into the law industry?
Who wants to become a lawyer, you mean? Like sort of who, yeah, okay. I think look broadly, because there are so many opportunities out there. You don't necessarily have to follow a given path. Like often we sort of think we need to have do a clerkship in a top firm and then get a graduate position and then move through the ranks, but there are so many other ways, particularly today. I think I've seen some really, really like creative and entrepreneurial young lawyers who are going out on their own. I think it's amazing. It's really the way it should be, because right now it can be done. I mean, it's really not hard to set up a law firm now. And it's not nearly as expensive as it was even a few years ago. I think COVID has actually opened up some opportunities, because people now sort of are quite accepting of you only doing online appointments, and they're quite accepting of the fact that there might be kids at home running around, and they're open to new ways of working. So there's also a pool of lawyers freelancing out there that are able to assist you, and there's so much online legal tech that is to be explored, and it's really exciting. I think now it's a really exciting time for the law, and there's going to be a lot of changes. I mean, definitely there's changes this year, but I think that I don't think it'll go back to any normal. It's going to be a new normal, and it's going to be quite a different normal, to be entirely honest. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah.
No, not at all. And in a way, you're almost like the pioneer of like remote lawyer service or law service, really.
Well, yeah, I'd set up my firm, and I think people are like, you know, I'm definitely no Bill Gates, but I certainly had things in order and definitely well set up well before this year hit. And so it really meant I have been in an excellent position this year to serve my clients. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I guess for anyone, because
I
I
mean,
have
if
a
you
lot of
can serve
clients.
them entirely online.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. It's almost like COVID life, just like normal for you. So the question that I was going to ask is, so for
I
anyone who's
mean,
kind of like, sorry. Oh, we had a bit of a slow internet there. I think we're back. So for anyone who's thinking, because I have a lot of clients, they're like, I'm in corporate, I've got a career, I'm a mum, or I have other things that I'm juggling in my life, but I have this desire to start a business. And I truly believe that since COVID and in this day and age, we can all start our own side hustle or even a side business that we're passionate about. What would be your, I guess, top advice, maybe top 1, top 2, or top 3 advices for somebody who wanted to start up their own online business?
I think top advice is, I mean, you're always learning. A business journey is a learning journey, and I think if you just sit and do nothing, you know, you may not do anything for another 5 years, and if you keep putting it off, then really, where does that leave you? You know, if you've got an idea, you've really got almost a responsibility to get it out there, particularly if it's going to change the world for the better. That's top 1. Don't wait. Top the second one is to, I mean, as a lawyer, obviously, I recommend that everyone is proactive about their legals and gets them in place before anything could go wrong. It also means you approach it really professionally, and you might be surprised, but the whole process of getting your legals in order will often help really define your operations and your procedures, and just clarify what's going on and what relationships you have in place. And with that clarity, you can really go forward with confidence. Yeah, so number 2, legals. And what's the thing? Oh, probably, yeah, value health. I mean, as women, we often devalue ourselves, you know, and I picked it up earlier in our conversation when you said, oh, you've just written a book. And I was like, oh, it's just a chapter. We sort of say, you know, oh, I just have one child, and sort of, it's a syndrome of just, you know, oh, I just run a little business, you know. It's a bit of imposter syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we've really, really got to learn to value ourselves so that we can then value our time and value our products and services, really also. Yeah.
That is so good.
What do you think?
Brilliant.
What's your top 3, Lala?
Cool. My top 3 is, I think the first one is quite similar to yours. Like, don't wait, just do it. But the second one is surrounding yourself with a network of people who is going to lift you up rather than poo-poo your ideas. And number 3, I think, would be to sit on it's kind of a bit of a conflict, and I wish I had done that when I started my first business, is that don't wait, but sit on it long enough and trust in your gut. Because if I really go back to my first business, my gut was like, it's not quite ready, but I still launched it, and the result was it wasn't quite ready. And when I now launched, Angela Wayne and Co., it was just like, I just knew this is the first step into many things. And when you sit on something that you have that certainty, I think for me, now that this is my third year into this business, and even though I've branched off, I've got the Womanly Way and there's other things that are coming, I know I'm always going to return to almost like my roots and my structure. Right, so Angela Wen & Co. is this big vision of many smaller businesses, smaller ideas that will serve my desire to work in construction, to change the world, to support women and men and work in mental health. So I think have an idea, don't wait, but make sure you sit on it long enough as well when you know that that's the thing. Because so often today when we have an idea, it's like, I just want to do it. I just want to see instant result. But not understanding business isn't something that you just see instant results. You're going to be stuck with this idea for a long time, and you might as well just sort of make sure that at least at the root level, it feels right and it sits right in your body.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a sort of feeling kind of person.
Yeah.
So you were saying?
That goes to the heart of just making sure you're really clear with your values. I was just saying, I think, trusting your instinct and your gut, it sort of goes to the heart of making sure of your values before you do things as well. Because, when you're really sure of your values and you can, have a vision and you can be in the business for the long game. And they talk about, the long game, the people who are in it for the long, for life, they're the winners. It's when you sort of want short, quick gains, or like you said, quick success, that things, really, really don't go well.
Yeah, I think so. I think also be patient.
I think it's Simon Sinek that talks about that, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah. That's it.
Patient? Yeah. Yeah. But absolutely, the group of women that lift you up is essential, really. It's but it's also part of the fun, isn't it? When you have a group of women who you can collaborate with and you lift each other up and you sort of have a champagne when there's some win to celebrate, well then it makes it so much less isolating and yeah, a heap of fun.
So where can we get in contact with you if we needed some of your service? Actually, no, first of all, tell us, besides obviously the basic legal side of things of starting a business, what else do you do? Because I also know you do trademark, which is, you've helped me out tremendously with mine. Is there anything else that kind of is something that we perhaps haven't thought about that you might do?
Yeah, probably, actually. I do actually also do franchising, and
Yes.
but I tend to do it just by personal referral. Yeah. But the main areas that I work in are e-commerce, of course, and trademarking and any sort of business contract drafting. So that's so helping mum startups in those sorts of fields, whether it be a manufacturing agreement or sometimes for websites or NDAs or non-circumvention agreements or any other legal terms you like to throw in.
So anything that basically relating to jargon. A business, right?
business. Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
And I don't deal with so that I've got plenty of people that I can refer you to if there is an issue. So that's fine too.
So what was that again? What don't you do? Or just have a little bit of internet issue there?
Oh, we're not having the best luck tonight.
Mm.
So I don't do litigation or
Okay.
court cases or anything like that.
That's understandable. So where can we find you, Davina?
Probably the best way is on the website. You can actually book a free introductory consultation if you want to chat with me. Or you can call us. There's a number there. Yeah, that's probably the best bet.
Thank you so much today, Davina. It's always a joy talking to you. Like I said, a lawyer with a friendly face and just feels like I'm talking to a friend every time when I give you a call. So thank you so much for coming on. And thank you once again for being so flexible. I am very appreciative. And thank you. And for those of you who are watching, we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Bye.